Ever have one of those mornings where, you wake up and your brain is just instantly buzzing, like running through every single unfinished task, every worry, every random idea you had at 3 a.m. It's that feeling, right?
Right.
Like your mental desktop has 1,000 tabs open and they're all yelling for attention.
Oh, absolutely. And, that feeling, it's completely real. We actually have data on this. There was a fascinating study, Queen's University, I think, that found the average person cycles through something like over 6,000 thoughts a day.
6,000. Wow.
6,000, yeah. So just imagine your brain trying to keep track of all that, just maintain awareness, while also trying to, focus and get actual work done. It can't. The short-term capacity isn't there.
So our brains aren't just generating 6,000 thoughts. They're trying to be the filing cabinet for them, too. That sounds like a recipe for, burnout. Okay, so our mission today is to really take a deep dive into maybe the single best tool for handling this kind of cognitive overload, the brain dump. We want to look at the neuroscience behind why it works, which is surprisingly cool, walk through the practical steps, and even see how AI is teaching us stuff about organizing our own mental chaos.
Okay, sounds good. Let's maybe unpack this by starting with the most immediate payoff. The basic function of getting thoughts out of your head, onto paper or a screen, is just massive stress reduction. It lowers your cognitive load.
Right. Your brain doesn't have to juggle being the storage unit and the processor at the same time.
Precisely. It frees up energy for the actual processing part.
Which is what we want, right? Cut through the noise so we can actually think clearly again.
Absolutely. And think about creativity, for instance. Research shows again and again that stress, that excessive cognitive load, it really dampens the brain networks you need for, creative thinking, finding new solutions. Mental clutter, it's not just annoying, it's a serious productivity and creativity killer.
Why? Because all the energy is going into just holding on to the thoughts.
Yeah, you're just holding information, not really manipulating it or, generating new insights from it.
Okay, that makes sense. But it brings up a really key question, I think, about the neurology of it all. Why do those thoughts, the tasks, the worries, the things we know we need to remember, why do they just keep looping? Cycling round and round in our heads until we finally write them down? What's actually going on in there?
Right. Okay. So this gets into network dysregulation. Specifically, it's about this kind of constant negotiation between three big neural networks. Scientists call it the triple network.
Triple network. Okay.
Yes. So first, you've got the salience network. Its job is basically to detect emotionally significant stuff. It's like your brain's alarm system. It flags worries, anxieties, high priority tasks, that kind of thing.
Got it. The alarm.
The alarm. Now, the problem starts when that alarm signal gets too loud, too persistent, maybe from chronic anxiety or just, high stress levels. This overactivation, it directly weakens the executive control network, the ECN.
And the ECN is?
Think of the ECN as the CEO of your brain. It handles focus, planning, complex decisions, impulse control.
Okay. So the stress, the loud alarm, it basically handcuffs the CEO. Makes it harder to plan our way out of the stress itself.
Exactly. You nailed it. And the moment that ECN gets weakened, it kind of opens the door for the third network to butt in, the default mode network, or DMN.
DMN. That sounds familiar. Isn't that the mind-wandering network?
It's the one, yeah. Internal monologues, thinking about yourself, daydreaming. Normally it's fine, but when it intrudes on a weakened ECN, that's when you get those endless consuming thought loops. Rumination. It just totally disrupts your focus.
Wow. So it's like a breakdown in the brain's management system.
Pretty much.
And what's really wild is that the fix is so physical, just writing it down. It's not some abstract mind trick. It's a neurological reset.
It really is. When you do a brain dump, you write those thoughts down. You're literally moving them from this unstable internal mental RAM to reliable external storage, paper, screen, whatever.
And that tells the alarm system.
It signals to the salience network, hey, this item is captured, it's safe, you can stand down a bit. That reduces the anxiety signal, which lets the ECN, the CEO, regain control and break that stressful loop. Turns off the alarm.
That's the neurological foundation then. Okay, so if the science is clear, externalization works, what are the actual practical ways we can start doing this? Because let's be clear, brain dumping isn't just random scribbling.
Right.
It's, as you said, getting that stream of consciousness out uncritically. Tasks, worries, goals, appointments, everything. Our sources seem to outline, 4 main types, depending on your state of mind.
That's right, yeah. The type you pick really depends on what you're trying to accomplish right then. So number 1 is the free flow dump, sometimes called the overwhelm dump. This is for when your mind is just pure chaos.
The 1,000 tabs situation.
Exactly. You set a timer, maybe 10, 20 minutes, grab your pen or keyboard, and the rules are strict. Don't stop writing for more than, say, 5 seconds. And absolutely no deleting, no correcting, no censoring, just get it out.
Okay, I can already hear people thinking, wait, 10 minutes straight, just dumping. That sounds overwhelming too. What if I stop to fix my spelling or try to organize it as I go?
Yeah, and that's the tricky part. You have to resist that urge. The goal here is pure speed and quantity, not quality. The second you pause to organize or correct, you're re-engaging the ECN and DMN, you might restart that whole rumination cycle. The benefit is in the raw purge. Organization comes later.
Okay, so resist the edit button.
Definitely. You organize later. Which actually brings us nicely to the second type, the goal-focused dump.
How's that different? Less chaotic?
Yeah, it's more structured. You typically use this for planning, maybe the night before, first thing in the morning. You start by writing down your, let's say, top 3 big priorities for the month. Then you build your daily task list specifically by linking every little action back to one of those main goals.
So it stops you from just doing busy work that doesn't move the needle on the important stuff.
Precisely. It connects the micro tasks to the macro goals.
Okay, makes sense. What about when you just need a mental reset? Feeling kind of down or stuck?
Yeah, that's where number 3 is great. The gratefulness or appreciation dump. This is a really powerful tool to deliberately shift your mental state. You focus on building confidence, maybe list what you actually did accomplish today, even small things, minimum of 3, or list things you're genuinely grateful for.
So it's like a cognitive redirect away from the negative loops.
Exactly. Builds resilience, helps counter stress.
And the last one, the big picture view.
That would be the weekly dump. This is more strategic. You use it to review the expectations you had for last week, what worked, what didn't. Then you set realistic goals for the current week. And critically, you identify the single most annoying, procrastination-inducing task on your list.
Oh, I know that task well.
We all do. And the sources strongly suggest you tackle that one annoying task first thing. Get it out of the way. The relief and momentum you get from that can apparently carry you through the rest of the week.
Eat the frog, as they say. Okay, so you've done your dump, maybe the free flow one, you've got this raw, potentially messy spill of information. Now the real work starts, right? Turning that chaos into something actionable, something the ECN, the CEO network, can actually trust and use. Our sources lay out a pretty comprehensive 7-step guide for this part.
And this organizing phase, this is the step people often skip, and it's probably why they stop doing brain dumps eventually. Without structure, the list itself just becomes another source of stress.
Right, another overwhelming thing to look at.
Okay,
so the process starts with steps 1 and 2. Capture. Basically, find a quiet spot and just let it all out, no judgment. Include the obvious stuff like pay the rent, but also the vague stuff like figure out that vacation thing.
Everything. Big, small, urgent, someday maybe.
Then step 3 is the pause. After you stop writing, you literally take a breath. Why is this little transition, this pause between dumping and sorting, why is that so important?
It's crucial because you need to mentally switch gears. When you're purging, you're often in a quite activated, maybe emotional state. The pause lets the ECN, the rational planning part, fully re-engage before you dive into analysis. If you jump straight from that raw dump into sorting, you risk making emotional decisions or just getting completely overwhelmed by the volume of stuff. The pause creates a necessary psychological distance.
Okay, creates a buffer. Makes sense. So we've paused. Now we move to steps 4 and 5. Organize and act. First, you categorize everything. Simple buckets work. Work, home, personal, maybe.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Then you separate standalone tasks from projects, defining a project as anything needing 2 or more steps. Then you prioritize. Maybe use something like the Eisenhower matrix, urgent versus important.
That's a classic, yeah. Very effective. And step 5 is absolutely critical. You must break down big, daunting tasks into tiny, manageable, micro-sliced steps. If your list just says clean garage, your brain's going to resist that huge cognitive load.
Yeah, clean garage feels impossible.
Right, but if you change it to sort the tool shelf or take old paint cans to disposal, suddenly it feels doable. You can actually start.
That micro-slicing is key.
It is. And, to help make sure you didn't miss anything during the initial dump, it's useful to review what some people call incompletion triggers. Just quickly scan different areas of your life for hidden clutter.
Like what kind of areas?
Well, on the personal side, have you thought about leisure plans, made your health appointments, done that car maintenance, transportation stuff? Professionally, is there outstanding writing to finish, staff issues you've been putting off, system updates needed, sales calls to return? Just a quick scan helps catch things.
That trigger list idea is really useful. Okay, finally, steps 6 and 7 are all about review. You take any creative ideas, random notes, future plans, and put them in a dedicated holding section, like an ideas parking lot. And then the absolute golden rule. Set up a regular review habit. Weekly, maybe?
Absolutely non-negotiable. If your brain doesn't trust that you're actually going to look at this plan regularly, it'll just start holding on to things in working memory again. The system breaks down.
The trust is key. Okay. Now, we have to tackle something that comes up a lot with journaling or brain dumping. The negativity debate. When you're feeling anxious or angry or just down, should you write down those negative thoughts, those worries, those dark feelings?
Yeah, this is a big sticking point for some people. There's often this concern, maybe linked to certain, manifestation ideas, that writing negative things down gives them power, makes them fester, or attracts more negativity.
Right, don't give energy to the negative. I've heard that. What's the general consensus among people who actually use this as a tool for mental health or just getting things done?
Well, the overwhelming consensus seems to be that suppressing those emotions, that kind of forced toxic positivity where you only focus on the good, is actually harmful. It leads to bottling things up, which isn't healthy.
So writing it down is better than ignoring it.
Generally, yes. The act of writing down those acute anxieties or negative thoughts or even just raw anger, it can be incredibly cathartic. It literally gets the dark scribble cloud, as you called it, out of your head. It creates distance.
Seeing it on the page makes it different.
Often, yeah. When you externalize that feeling, you can step back, look at the problem written down, and frequently it just looks smaller, more manageable than it felt swirling around inside your head. For people dealing with anxiety or depression especially, this process helps uncover patterns, maybe triggers, and it lets you genuinely let go of the feeling because it's been acknowledged and recorded safely. You haven't just shoved it down.
So it's about processing, not suppressing. Okay, that clarifies a lot. Let's pivot now from, pen and paper, powerful as they are, to the digital world. There's so many tools now. How does someone choose the right digital system for this kind of structured workflow we've been talking about?
Oh man, the options. It really boils down to finding the app that fits your specific workflow. There's no single best app. They specialize.
Okay, give us some examples. What if you need something for just comprehensive notes, capturing everything?
For that kind of broad capture, you might look at Evernote. Its web clipper is legendary for grabbing stuff online. Or Microsoft OneNote, which has that free-form canvas that's great if you're a visual thinker.
What about people who want to build more of a, second brain, where the notes connect?
Ah, right. For linking thoughts and seeing connections, tools like Obsidian or Roam Research are really powerful. They use bidirectional linking, so you can see how different notes relate in this kind of graph view. It's very cool for networked thinking.
And for just quick capture, simple stuff.
Speed and simplicity. Google Keep is great quick notes. Color coding, it can even grab text from images. Or Apple Notes if you're all in on the Apple ecosystem. And for visual project management, like turning dump items into tasks on a board, Trello and its Kanban style is very popular.
But the really interesting stuff maybe is happening with tools like ClickUp. They seem to combine the note-taking with AI features.
Exactly. Tools like ClickUp are integrating AI to help summarize notes, suggest tasks, turn freeform dumps into structured action items. And this is where things get really mind-blowing, actually, because the way these advanced digital tools are learning to manage complexity, it mirrors a major new finding in AI research itself.
How so?
Well, there's this recent work on large language models, LLMs, that introduced an idea called a cognitive workspace for managing context, managing information. And the results basically prove the value of the structured brain dump method we've been discussing.
Okay, intriguing. Tell us about the old way first, the traditional AI system.
Right. So traditional systems like Araji retrieval augmented generation, they mostly rely on passive retrieval. They treat their memory like a giant database. You ask a question, it searches the database for relevant info. The problem is it has almost zero memory reuse between interactions. Every time you ask a new complex question, it basically has to start fresh, reread everything relevant.
Which sounds inefficient. Kind of like our own brains churning through those 6,000 thoughts every morning without structure.
Exactly like that. Now, contrast that with this new cognitive workspace approach. This uses active memory management. It involves deliberately curating information, using hierarchical memory buffers, think like a short-term scratch pad for what's happening right now, a medium-term buffer for the current task, and a longer-term cache for known facts. It's essentially creating a structured, managed brain dump for the AI.
Wow. Okay, so the AI is actively organizing its thoughts. What were the results? Did it work better?
Dramatically better. This actively managed system achieved a, get this, 54 to 60% memory reuse rate between complex interactions. It could build on previous contexts.
Huge improvement.
Huge. And here's the real kicker. Even though this active management process required 3.3 times more internal operations, more work for the AI to sort and organize its memory, it resulted in a measurable 17 to 18% net efficiency gain when tackling complex multi-step tasks.
Wait, so doing 3.3 times the internal organizing work made it almost 20% more efficient overall.
That's the big reveal, yeah. The proactive effort, the equivalent of our step 4 and 5, organizing and acting that extra work resulted in a significant net gain. It proves, whether you're a human brain or an advanced AI, that active memory management, the very process of organizing your brain dump, is fundamentally superior to just letting things passively pile up.
That is fascinating. It really validates the whole process, especially the organizing part that maybe feels like extra work sometimes.
Precisely. It shows that the time spent sorting, prioritizing, breaking things down, that's actually the highest value use of your mental energy when you're feeling overloaded. Much better than just letting the chaos swirl.
Okay, so bringing it all together, what does this mean for you listening right now?
I think the core takeaway is that the brain dump isn't just some fluffy self-help trick. It's a foundational practice, backed by cognitive science, that genuinely saves mental energy and boosts your focus. But the real magic isn't just in the dumping, getting it all out. Right. The magic is equally, maybe even more so, in the reviewing and sorting afterwards. Turning that messy raw data into an actionable, trusted plan your brain can rely on. And maybe here's a final thought to chew on. The big quest for AI right now is achieving truly functional, essentially infinite context, being able to remember everything relevant. And it looks like the path to get there depends on AI learning to use its own version of active memory management, basically, creating and maintaining its own structured brain dump. So, as we get better at our own personal brain dumping habits, we're actually perfecting a core system that intelligence itself, whether it's human or artificial, seems to need to manage complexity effectively.
That's a powerful connection.
Yeah.
So take that challenge, maybe try one of those 4 types of dumps this week. The chaotic free flow if you're overwhelmed, the goal focus for planning, maybe the gratefulness dump for a reset, or perhaps look into one of those digital tools, maybe even an AI-powered one, to help organize your thoughts. It really is time to free up some bandwidth from those 6,000 plus daily thoughts.
Give your brain a break.
Exactly. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.